Water changes are important, but with larger tanks, using a simple gravel vacuum and buckets can be difficult to keep consistent with and do large changes your tank needs. In this video, I'll show you my solution that lets me change 50% of the water in both 65 gallon and 36 gallon in about 15 minutes. Connor here, welcome to my channel. I remember when I first got into this hobby and I got my first decent sized tank, 45 gallon. I was still filling up buckets and draining the tank one at a time to do my water changes. I then learned about the Python water changer, but many of the guides online used it while pouring DECHLORINATor right into the tank as the tap water filled it up. And I'm sure this is fine in most cases, but the idea never sat well with me. Just felt kind of risky, especially because it's always recommended on all the guides never to put tap water right in with your fish. But I just thought it was kind of risky. I'm sure it mixes fine if you do it right, but I kind of wanted to search for other solutions. And online I found out that there were inline dechlorinators made, which just kind of filters the chlorine out of it right as the water's going into your tank. So I did some research and they looked pretty solid. People seemed to like them. So I decided to try one out made by a company called Attribution. And I've been using this method for over a year successfully and wanted to share it with others. So first, let's start off with what you need. So the first thing you need is the Python water changer. And there's several options for this. You can get one with the hook attachment, which I really like. There's also a bulb attachment, which just lets you squeeze so you can get the suction right like that. And then you'll see here that Lifu, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the company right, also makes a cheaper version, which looks to be just as good. So that's an alternative too. The next thing you need is an inline dechlorinator. I got mine from a company called Attribution, and I'll link to it below. They make both a 12-inch and a 30-inch model. The 12-inch I think makes sense for most aquariums, and if you have a very large aquarium or you're using ponds, then the 30 probably makes more sense. It can just do more gallons at a time, and it'll last overall longer, but it's a decent size bigger. The 12-inch itself is pretty bulky, even just for it, so I imagine 30 is kind of just huge. Anyway, when you look at the product, it says the 12-inch lasts for filtering 59,000 gallons, and the 30-inch lasts for about 146,000 gallons, which is quite a bit. And I kind of calculated out for me how long it would last, and doing 50% water changes twice a week on both my 65 gallon and 36 gallon, it'll last over 10 years for me. And that totally beats out the cost of using liquid dechlorinator, which is going to cost you, I don't know, anywhere from $15 to $20, probably a bottle that you'll use each month. Whereas these dechlorinators, inline dechlorinators, are about $200, and that'll last you 10 years at least, probably. Maybe less, more depending on your use. But anyway, the last little thing you need is a hose adapter, female to female. This is just to attach the inline dechlorinator to the Python. It's just how the edge pieces are. You just need a little adapter here. And you can get these on Amazon, or you can just buy them at any hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot for a few dollars. And I'll have links to all these products in the description. They are Amazon affiliate links, but if you use them and you're interested in this, it helps out the channel, so I very much appreciate it if you do check them out. So now getting into the actual water change and what I do step by step. So obviously, first you want to drain the tank. And draining it is pretty simple. It's just using the Python basically by itself. And this is pretty similar to just using a normal gravel vac if you've never used a Python, except instead of draining the water into individual buckets, it'll actually go straight into a drain or outside. So you can just drain all you want in just one go. And so first you want to do here is attach the gravel vac to the Python hose, real simple. Now for draining, there's a few options here. So what I do is I have my outside next to my tanks real easy. So I just place the other end of the Python outside below tank level. And then you could either use your the bulb attachment or your mouth just to create suction. And then since it's under tank level, the gravity will just do the rest for you and drain it. You can also use the Python sink attachment. And you'll see here it has two modes. When you have the hose attached to it and the water, the Python attachment to open, the water is going to drain out of it. It's going to create the suction that way. This does use a lot of extra water, but if you have an apartment where you're not on the ground floor, this might be the easiest for your case. But if not, then just draining it into like a bathtub or outside is probably the best way to go. So now, once that's all set up, You can just simply drain the water out for the percent you want to do the water changes, just out into the drain or your sink or wherever it's going. And that's simply how easy it is. It probably takes anywhere from, the setup takes about 1 minute, and to drain it, depending on how large your tank is, it can take anywhere from a couple minutes to maybe 10 minutes if you have a really large tank, but it goes pretty quick. And then finally, we want to fill the tank. So this is where many people will just use the Python as it is, and you'll see this in many guides where you just attach it to the sink and fill it directly with tap water. And then as the water's coming in, you're adding enough dechlorinator to your tank for the whole tank. As I said earlier, I don't know, it always never sat well with me, and I kind of like this alternative method to minimize the risk to fish, as well as long term, over the 5 to 10 years that the $200 dechlorinator will last you. You're probably going to be spending hundreds, if not like $1,000 in dechlorinator liquid. So this is going to save you a lot of money this way. So basically, first thing, you either want to attach, if you have the hook attachment, or to squeeze the other end under your hood so the water can fill the tank. Then we want to attach the sink attachment from the Python. So most standard faucets will just have a little piece that you can just unscrew, and the Python attachment will just go right on that. And then you'll see here there are two modes for the Python. Open and closed. One will drain water from the tank, so you could use that for the first step. And then one, when the water is going out through the side, it'll fill the tank. So basically, once the sink attachment's attached, you want to attach the dechlorinator to the sink attachment. And this is where you will need the female to female hose attachment. And then once you have that, you just want to connect the other end of the Python hose to the dechlorinator, and you'll see you have one full line all the way to your tank. And so just turn on the water, get it to reach an ideal temperature. You don't need to be perfect at this point, just not too hot, not too cold for your tank. And then you just turn the Python to closed, and you'll see the water, after a few seconds, will start to fill the dechlorinator. And then after that, it'll go right through the hose and all the way into your tank. And then as it goes in, temperature I still think is very important. So you want to either measure it with your hand. What I do, as long as your hands are clean, test the water coming out with your hand, and then touch the actual water in the tank and get it as close as you can as possible. Or you can actually use a little thermometer and get it very accurate. But as the water comes in, just be adjusting your faucet as needed to get it as close as possible. And that's that. And so yeah, that's it. Simple and easy, and it's a lower risk way of doing large water changes fast. I hope this video was useful, and I'm curious if there are any tricks others use that I could learn from. If you did find it useful, please consider giving it a like so others can find it and learn from it as well. Also, please consider subscribing so you can watch my future videos. I post tutorials, reviews, and unboxings mostly on this channel. And anyway, thanks again for watching.